pork chops, catfish, short ribs, and all the fixins. Collard greens, mac and cheese, yams, red beans, black-eyed peas, and more. And of course, hot water cornbread, satisfying drinks, and delicious desserts. Lonell's is a great place for brunch, lunch, or dinner. If it's good enough for us, it's good enough for you, because we've got your black. So, head on over to Lonell's Soul Food Cuisine at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles and tell Lonell you heard about it on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Okay, so happy Juneteenth Eve. We did a little switcheroo. We're going to do some wealth building right now. We're wealth building all the time around here, but we're doing our wealth building Wednesday moment right here. But I want to remind you, look. Tonight is the night Tavis Smiley is doing his broadcast on C-SPAN to kick off our 4 events for our 4th anniversary. And one of those events is tonight, and it is not too late to get a seat. You can go to KBLA1580.com, the website, and you can just sign up. You just put your email. It takes a second, literally. You could do it right now on the way to work or at work. And you can join Tavis Smiley tonight with a great panel of experts to learn about climate justice, our update on well-being, health, and wellness. That is today. Tomorrow is our Juneteenth party. The next day you get to rest because you got 2 events on Saturday, Empowerment Congress event and my event, the State of Black Women in LA. All of them are free. You're invited to all of them. There's a few seats left, so let's do this. If you're coming to the barbecue, please bring a food gift card of any amount, either a restaurant or a grocery chain, and that way we can help the folks from Altadena who are still struggling. We're not forgetting them. We're staying with them and staying focused because that's what we're here for. We don't black down. We're here with you for the long run and not just for the news cycle, right? That's why we need Black-owned media. That's why I'm so excited and so pleased that we are here celebrating our anniversary, our 4th anniversary, something that folks thought could not be done. So we're celebrating Juneteenth all week, starting today, and I have a very special guest in the studio with me. She's the founder of the African American Food Association, a retired LAUSD teacher, and she is actually being celebrated for her work this Juneteenth. She is the Juneteenth Tea Cake Commissioner. She's a groundbreaking influencer on Black food culture and entrepreneurship in Los Angeles and beyond. The visionary behind Mrs. Robinson's Tea Cakes. She's elevated a humble family recipe into a cultural symbol of resilience, heritage, and pride. Her work shows how food can be a vessel for storytelling, for economic empowerment, and historic preservation. It's not just calories. It's a whole lot more. Mrs. Robinson, Mrs. Etha Robinson, welcome.
Thank you, Miss D.
You may call me Dominique.
Dominique.
Thank you so much for coming in. I see you dressed for the occasion. For those who are seeing us on YouTube, we're streaming live right now at KBLA 1580. Happy Juneteenth Eve.
Thank you so much. And of course, I'm dressed, at my age, you dress for comfort. You still want to look cute, but the main C is comfort. It's kind of warm here, so this is what I call an instant outfit. You put it on, you don't have to worry about it, and you figure that hopefully you'll look just as cute as you can.
Oh, you look just as cute as can be. Talk to me about the role of Juneteenth Tea Cake Commissioner. What does that do? What does that mean? What do you do?
Well, one of the things I think that's vitally important is that we take our culture and turn it into cash. Money is very important. We can say all the other things we want to say, but cash always speaks loud and clear. Everybody understands cash. So when you think about the culture of a people, you take that culture and you monetize it. So it accentuates your worthiness, and it also lets the rest of the world know what contributions you've made to its culture and development and its being progressive. So the tea cake was first made initially by slaves over 200 years ago. We didn't have Oreos and Fig Newtons. So the slaves made tea cakes, which is a shortbread cookie patterned after the European tea cake. It's not really a cake, it's a cookie. So our grandparents and our mothers made the tea cake. So it would befittingly be the official cookie for Juneteenth. So Dr. Myers, I met him maybe 30, 40 years ago almost. And I was doing the tea cake. And he said, well, why don't we make you the tea cake commissioner? So then I was deemed as a tea cake commissioner. And then we said, well, let us make this the official cookie of Juneteenth. And so it's a simple shortbread cookie. And if you talk to your elders, you got people from the South, they'll tell you about Grandmama and them made tea cakes and Aunt Susie and them made tea cakes. So it was the cultural delight that we relished, especially during my childhood.
I love tea cakes so much.
Excellent.
Way too much.
Take a bite of history.
Take a bite of history. I love that. And it's a lot easier to ban a book than a cookie, right?
Can't ban. How do you ban a cookie? There's no way you can ban a cookie because you can bring it in your pocket. You can have to. And interestingly enough, a long time ago, people used to travel with tea cakes because when we traveled, we didn't have McDonald's and those kind of places. So when we traveled by Greyhound and Continental Trailway bus, you had a lunch. Luckily, you may have had a shoebox or a brown paper bag, and somebody put some fried chicken and some tea cakes and pound cake, and that was your lunch.
That was a good lunch.
Yes, it was.
Making me hungry right now. Okay, I'm ashamed to say this, but I'm going to confess to you, Ms. Robinson. I do not know how to make a tea cake.
Well, that's you. Join the crowd. You're not. Old folks say you're not the only one who don't know. That's what happened to you, educated women. I have a saying is, especially if you had a black mother, that we were so busy many times giving our children what we didn't have, we forgot to give them what we did have. And so, in educated people, oh well, I don't want to cook. How in the world you gonna cook? How you gonna have a man you can't cook for him? You got to know how to cook, and plus it's important.
He cook for me, Miss
Well,
Robinson?
you can do all both of them. It's not relegated to that.
Right,
we can alternate.
Yes.
But I think it's very important because I don't know anything more intimate than food. Food becomes you. Even sex is not as intimate as food. Food becomes you, and I think that's very important.
Ms. Robinson, did you just say even sex is not as intimate as food?
It isn't. Sex doesn't become you. It's very temporary, isn't it? It takes 7 hours for food to digest. You're lucky if you have sex for 10, 15 minutes, especially at my stage. But anyway, yeah, food is more, there's nothing more intimate than something becoming you.
Yeah.
The food becomes a part of you. And it's also a part of your culture. And I think it's very vital to us as a people to let the world know and to let our young people know that even though slaves were very limited, they were also very creative. And they were able to see the value in what they did by passing down the recipe word of mouth. Because we know it was illegal for them to learn how to read and write. So they couldn't write. We called them recipes. They called them receipts. But they had sense enough to say, well, you get a piece of butter the size of a fist and 2 hands full of flour and a smidgen of this and a pinch of that, until they learned how to write. And then eventually someone started writing down the recipes. So they thought it was valuable enough to leave it to us. So we have to add value to it by taking it to another level.
We're going to hear about how to do that and how we officially are celebrating Juneteenth. Ms. Robinson is a native Mississippian, a real-life cotton picker from the Delta, home of the blues. We'll hear all about it when we come forward on our Juneteenth edition of Wealth Building Wednesday for KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is Resilience in the Face of Chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DiPrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Love you.
Are you ready to play? Then jump into the LA 84 Foundation's free Playday Block Party, a community celebration for all ages, including live music, dancing, LA's pro sports teams, great local food trucks, plus special giveaways for you to take home. Enjoy an exciting, fun-filled day for the entire family. Join on Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 2141 West Adams Boulevard. To register, go to la84.org. We'll see you Saturday, June 28th at LA 84 Foundation's free Playday Block Party.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2025, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under credit audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally, just want to sleep better. Business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-259-4546. That's 800-259-4546. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-259-4546 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm being joined by Ms. Etha Robinson. She is a grandmother. No, your grandmother.
Yes, my
your
grandmother, but I am,
made
yes.
the tea cakes. You're
Yes.
also a grandmother, and you are known as the tea cake commissioner.
Yes,
the
tea cake
official
lady.
the tea cake lady, the tea cake
Yeah,
commissioner.
yeah.
And you are actually celebrating, doing special celebrations for Juneteenth because tea cake is now the official cookie
yes.
of Juneteenth. One of the things that we want to highlight here on this Wealth Building Wednesday, we really look to support people in their business endeavors and, like you say, turning that culture into cash. You are on a fundraising mission right now to get your own commercial kitchen.
Yes, very important. If you want to, and I don't even want to necessarily say compete, but if you want to get into the race, you have to have a facility. You can't have a radio station without having a building. It's hard to broadcast on the street corner. So you can't make tea cakes for people and not have a commercial kitchen. Plus, that way you can control the vertical economics from the production to the distribution, the manufacturing, and the marketing. So you control it from, it's called vertical economics. So when we talk about the tortilla, everyone knows you think about that from the Latin culture. You think about a fortune cookie. You go into a Chinese restaurant, they don't ask you if you want a fortune cookie. They give you one.
Right.
It's part of the deal. It's when you get the bill. So my point is, our concept is to elevate the worthiness of the tea cake. I think someone mentioned that it was called the forgotten tea cakes. Because as Dominique said, she probably hasn't had a tea cake in probably, I don't know how long.
Oh, no, I had one. I just don't know how to make them.
She don't know how to make them.
I know how to find them, Miss Robinson. I don't know how to make them.
Yeah, well, what happened years ago, maybe back in the early 90s, I had a kiosk in the Baldwin Hills Plaza, and we sold the tea cakes there. We also sold them in the Fox Hills Mall and the Plaza Pasadena malls. One of my classmates, he's deceased now, he had a bakery in Alhambra. And the problem was I couldn't find anyone to make the tea cakes. So it was a blessing that he had a bakery in Alhambra. And he was the one who manufactured my tea cakes. In order to be in a mall or into a public place, you have to be covered by liability insurance. And, of course, the facility has to be health approved. So that's very important. And many times we don't have that. So that's the reason why we need a commercial kitchen. So all of our products that we have to sell can be made viable on the right market, and in other words, if you're going to make a product, it also has to be distributed. So it's very important to understand the whole network that goes into marketing a product. When my mother made tea cakes, they put them in a tin can or a jar. Now we want to put them in a bag, and we want to put a label on the bag. So it's important to highlight and to elevate the particular item that you're trying to sell. And we need to learn about marketing, about all the things that it takes to make a product successful, as well as letting the people know about the fact that this came from a particular culture. You talk about being resilient. The slaves were very resilient because they were not always allowed to make the tea cakes, usually during Christmas time or someplace like that, some special holidays. They weren't allowed because they didn't have ingredients. Remember, we're talking about slavery. So they had maybe molasses, or if they were lucky enough, they had some spices. But now we have these products, but we need to become more aware of how we can market them, not just as an ethnic product, but as a product that's a part of the American foodscape.
Do you, how can we help you? Like, how can we help you with your commercial kitchen? I know you're doing some crowdfunding stuff.
Yes, we're doing some crowdfunding. So we're asking people to come in and buy 4 dozen. You can get 4 dozen, give some to your cousin. So our motto is buy 4 dozen and give some to your cousin. So we want to promote this crowdfunding effort because we need money to build the kitchen. and it takes an awful lot of money. I don't know if anyone who's ever been into the food industry, it takes an awful lot of money to create a commercial facility. So that's what we're asking people to join the crowdfunding. You got $1 million back in your back pocket somewhere. You don't know what to do with it. Send it to Mrs. Robinson's Tea Cakes crowdfunding campaign, because we can create jobs. I think the most popular cookie in the United States, the world, is Oreo. So we want to give Oreo some competition, because the tea cake came out long before the Oreo. I think it came out in 1941. Tea cake goes all the way back to slavery. So we want to give some highlights to our fact that our ancestors saw fit to give the products to us. Many times during the Great Migration, when we got to the end of the cotton road, we were so happy to get away from the South that not only did we leave the hoe at the end of the road, sometimes we left the things that our ancestors had given us also behind us. And we went to the cities and became workers, whereas in the South, many times we were actually producers of food products. We canned. But now, who are the people who are canning? Del Monte is still canning. My mother made fig jam, plum jam, jelly, all kinds of items. Now they're gourmet. When they made them, they were called homemade. Now they're called gourmet products that our ancestors made. So how do you feel about the products? How do we continue the legacy? We can continue the legacy by having a commercial kitchen where we can take these products. Food is culinary science and culinary arts. Cooking is both an art and a science. You just can't go in there and start mixing things. You have to have recipes. You have to know about food handling. It's really a science.
I'm laughing
and it's an
sometimes
art.
I go in and start mixing things. Doesn't always turn out good.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Earlier you said we were so busy trying to give our children the things we didn't have that sometimes we forget to give them what we did have.
Yes.
And especially if you have a black mama. Well, my mom's white. She's Italian.
Yeah.
That's pretty much white. But I have a black bonus mama. And she went out of her way to teach me certain things, like the proper way to make potato salad and the proper way to, fry chicken and all that. Well, she did not show me how to make tea cakes, Mrs.
Well, she may or may
Robinson.
not have known. And then when you go to the average store, you will not find tea cakes on the shelf.
No, you don't find them.
But there's no place where you can go into a grocery market and not see a tortilla.
That's true.
Everywhere you go, you can find a tortilla.
Yeah, from Bel Air to
any place
to
you
the
go
Upper West
to,
Side. Yeah,
you can find a tortilla. So my point is, and
free the tea cakes.
We want to do the tea cake. We're talking about freedom,
right?
And freedom is not free. Everything costs. So there's a price to pay. You may have to pay more for the tea cake because we're just kind of getting started. So that's why we need support from people who say, well, we don't have jobs. We can create jobs. We can have the tea cakes in different stores. We can have somebody who can distribute the tea cake.
Where can we find your tea cakes now?
Well, right now we're only selling them online because we don't have a commercial kitchen.
Right.
In fact, I had to find someone who met the criteria to make the tea cakes, which is, of course, on the west side, because I couldn't find anybody who would private label bake them here. And then we didn't have a facility equipped to make the tea cakes. So right now we're having someone to private label them, whereas if we get our own kitchen, we can make them ourselves, because you have to have a hood. The hood may be $100,000. You got to have the right kind of ovens. You got to have the right kinds of refrigeration, all that. You got to buy your raw products in bulk. So you can only do that if you have a facility that will accommodate that kind of venture.
It's Mrs. Robinson's teacakes.com. Mrs. Robinson's teacakes.com. I'm looking at your website. You got a picture of yourself next to Nipsey Hussle.
Yes, right. Certainly
that
wasn't it? That was a coincidence on the U.S. Bank, right on the corner of Crenshaw and Slauson. So some people say, well, is that his grandmother? I say maybe not blood-wise, but spiritual, because evidently he was concerned about improving doing things in the community. And that's basically my focus, is that if we want to have a better world, we have to build better communities.
Well, Mrs. Robinson, you want to hang out with me and talk Juneteenth? Maybe if folks want to call, you can take some calls. We can give out some advice.
Yes.
Okay, we'll do a Juneteenth, and we also want to talk about you're being honored today. Folks are invited. There's a celebration, so we'll cover all of that as we continue this conversation. But the main drive right now is you're trying to raise money for the commercial kitchen.
Yes.
And you want people to do that by ordering tea cakes.
Tea
You're not
cakes.
just asking them to come out of pocket and donate. You want them to buy.
Well, we want them to buy, but we also don't mind them. They come out of pocket at the church. We don't mind them coming out of pocket. They come out of pocket when we go to a hotel. We come out of pocket when we go to restaurants. So when I say come out of pocket, we can give money. I'm not saying that that you have to just buy tea cakes every time. You may say, well, you know what? I inherited $50,000. I don't need all of it. I'll donate $10,000 to the kitchen. So there are different ways in which we can give. You have a choice to spend your money the way you want to, but you also have the right not to. So we're asking people to purchase the tea cakes, and we're also asking people to make donations.
Okay, I can see lots of ways I can. And you have it all broken down here. What you're using the money for: kitchen equipment and ingredients, packaging, branding, marketing,
that's a lot
outreach.
less. We're going to need a lot more than that. But that was how we got started for the Juneteenth. We kind of wanted to launch it, but for the commercial kitchen, you have. They said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.
Right, and we're probably about mile 20 right now. It's Mrs. Robinson's teacakes.com, crowdfunding, fundraising. She's got a retail and gift shop, and you can pre-order. My problem is if I buy 4 dozen, I'm going to eat 4 dozen.
No, you give them away. You have to control yourself.
Buy 4 dozen, give to my
cousins. That's right.
By the time my cousin gets to my house, it's not going to be
maybe your neighbor, or a little old lady that nobody has been to visit, or take them to church, or there are always ways. Give them to people that you want. I always say I have friends who don't need me to buy them anything. They got clothes, they have homes, they have jewelry, but they don't have a tea cake. So why not the tea cake? Give that to people. I always say give tea cakes to people who don't really need anything.
There you go. We're talking with Etha Robinson, Miss Etha Robinson of Miss Robinson's Tea Cakes. And we're celebrating Juneteenth. That's what we're going to do. And want to hear about your HBCU and how you became to be on a cultural, historical food journey when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominic DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. We're following a developing story this morning. The White House is warning Americans not to travel to Israel, Iraq, or Iran. This as President Trump mulls over whether the U.S. will do airstrikes, what some see as officially entering into the Middle East war. NBC News was with the president yesterday.
They should have done the deal. I told them, do the deal.
Meanwhile, President Trump posted to social media around noon Tuesday, "We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran," which NBC News says it's questionable since the U.S. does not have any aircraft involved in the airstrikes going back and forth between Iran and Israel right now. And not everyone thinks this is a good idea. There are congressional members on both sides of the aisle that are trying to limit America's involvement in the conflict. Republican Congressman Thomas Massie has introduced legislation arguing this is not our war. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron James is talking like he's coming back with the Lakers to play his 23rd NBA season. While filming a new commercial for Amazon called What's Next, LeBron told the Associated Press that his main objective in the offseason is to get his left knee healthy. That comment is a clear indication that LeBron is planning to play next season. LeBron suffered a sprained ligament in his knee during Game 5 of the Lakers' season-ending loss to Minnesota in the first round of the playoffs. The injury did not require surgery. LeBron, who turns 41 in December, has been doing treatment and rehab since the injury. LeBron's return is not yet official. He has until June 26th to accept a player option for next season worth $56.2 million. Kevin Durant has told the Phoenix Suns that if they trade him, here are the 3 teams he would like to go to: Miami, San Antonio, or Houston. Durant will be 37 in September. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Every mother deserves a healthy and joyous pregnancy and birth, and every baby deserves to thrive. That's why the Los Angeles County Abundant Birth Project is here. The Abundant Birth Project is a guaranteed income program that provides cash during pregnancy to pregnant individuals at the highest risk of preterm and low birth rate babies. Although program enrollment has closed, our commitment to Black joy and thriving continues. Through tailored services that foster mental well-being and community-based resources, we provide care and support during pregnancy and after the baby is born to help build brighter futures for our families. Join us in celebrating abundant births in LA County. For more information, please visit abundantbirthproject.org. abundantbirthproject.org.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
Pull up in motorcades. I got a show today. It's all I'm trying to do. Hustle and motivate. Choppers a throwaway. Hustle the overweight. That's why they follow me, huh? They think I know the way. Cause I took control of things. Ballin' the solo way. And if you pattern my trend, I make you my protege. Crossing that soldier race. Don't know them days. Take you in back of the buildings. Make you expose your rage.
Yeah, Mrs. Etha Robinson. In the spirit of Nipsey Hussle, an entrepreneur in the spirit of Nipsey Hussle, we're playing that for you, Mrs. Robinson. And we are celebrating Juneteenth. She's native of Mississippi, hails from LA, and is the founder of Mrs. Robinson's Tea Cakes, mrsrobinsontteacakes.com. But interestingly enough, you link the tea cake to Juneteenth. Juneteenth, of course, tomorrow. It is a national holiday at this point. And as we see, the President of the United States has gone out of his way to roll back, to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion, to use the anti-affirmative action rulings of the Supreme Court to stamp out any and all programs that seem to help Black people or emphasize our history. His education secretary said she wasn't sure if it was legal to teach Black history. She said that at a congressional hearing. And so now there's concern. Of course, President Biden declared Juneteenth a national holiday, so that means banks, post offices, schools, and everything will be closed tomorrow in honor of Juneteenth. KBLA will be open. That's because we're busy celebrating our anniversary. But folks are concerned, Ms. Robinson, that the president may repeal Juneteenth, that he could try to roll it back and declare it not a holiday. He hasn't said he would do that, but because of his emphasis on getting rid of Black history, getting rid of all things Black and DEI, as they label it, folks are worried about this. Well, it turns out the only way that the president could get rid of a national holiday, if you want to repeal a national federal holiday, would have to be proposed as a bill in Congress, and then Congress would have to pass it. Of course, that would be signed by the president. President Trump at the moment controls both houses of Congress. What are your thoughts on this idea of doing away with Juneteenth, and or why we need to keep it, why it's important?
I think like anything else, it's basically the individual people who have to keep the spirit alive. Because there was one time I didn't know anything about Juneteenth, but the spirit of what Juneteenth represents, with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, it still rings true in all of our lives. So my point is that we have to live our culture. He can't stop us from celebrating in our churches and our schools. He could maybe do whatever. And I guess being from Mississippi, I'm accustomed to, the impediments that were put in our ways. I mean, at the time when I was growing up, you couldn't walk on the sidewalk with a white person, that sort of thing. But I think what's important is what we think about and feel about ourselves. for years, no one has done anything with the tea cake. Trump wasn't president. We could have been, the tea cake is something that should be a part of our culture, about our lives. So I think instead of being reactive, we need to be more proactive. And I think that that's because proactivity no one can interfere with your proactiveness. No one can tell you that you can't buy tea cakes or you can't support a particular kind of business. So I think it's very important is how we feel about what we think is important. And there's an old saying, say, liberation is an inside job. Mm-hmm. And no one can control your spirit outside of yourself or your surroundings, your families. So my concern is not so much about what Trump is doing. My concern is, what are we willing to do? Are we willing to build our own commercial kitchen? Are we willing to promote the products and the things that our ancestors gave us? Do we feel worthy? Are we comfortable as to who we are and what we eat and the things that we do? So we've been accustomed to someone trying to throw at something. I don't think it's anything new. I think it's mostly left up to us to take approval, to approve the things that we want to do. I don't think anyone calls and asks about whether or not I can have a bagel with some cream cheese. You go buy you some bagels and do it. So I think celebration is an inside job.
Juneteenth is a federal holiday as of now, and there has been no bill put forth to end it. But I just, since that talk is out there, I wanted to see what it would take. As of right now, states get to decide what they do about it. 30 states so far and the District of Columbia recognize Juneteenth as a permanent state holiday. And Alaska will celebrate, and Vermont will celebrate Juneteenth as a state holiday for the first time this year. So it's actually growing in popularity, not shrinking. And I've said, because we see the erasure of the word slave, and there's new euphemisms, the triangular trade and all these things, where they're trying to take slavery out of history or reinvent it, as the governor of Florida famously said it was a job training program where enslaved persons got valuable skills. And yet, how do you have a holiday that celebrates us finding out about the Emancipation Proclamation and the end of slavery without acknowledging that it exists? And so to me, that's one of the reasons why it's important, whether it's as a holiday or just, as you say, a community tradition.
Well, when we think about holidays, what do they really represent? When we think about a holiday, what is a holiday supposed to represent? What does it represent? Does it represent something financially? Does it represent something spiritually, socially, or acceptance? And sometimes I think we could become too concerned about what other people feel about us rather than what we feel about ourselves. And I think that becomes very important. And it's not always about being equal, because equality is something that you have to meet when you meet someone else's standards. What makes you equal? But worthiness is something that you feel about yourself. No one can interfere with your concept of your own worthiness, your self-value. Because if I were equal to Jane Fonda, I wouldn't need to have a
You'd already have a commercial kitchen.
I already have a commercial kitchen. But I'm as worthy as Jane Fonda.
I wouldn't be forced to buy 4 dozen tea cakes and eat them by myself.
That's right. See, so I may not be equal to Jane Fonda, but I'm as worthy as Jane Fonda.
Absolutely. Jacqueline Anderson says she made some tea cakes yesterday. Odell, she didn't even bring us any. That's wrong.
Well, you come down to U.S. Bank and get some.
MB wants to know, why do we have to donate instead of investing? He says he's interested in investing, not donating.
Well, possibly. I always say the journey of 1,000 miles began with one step. I'm a retired teacher. If you're interested in investing and you have some concerns, come and give us a call and come by and see us. We're interested in investing. We have to set up a structure for that.
Right.
See, you just can't say I'm invest. There has to be a structural system through which you can donate. Through which you can invest. And then based on what you want for your investment. So we're looking for anyone who has any way that we can improve this venture. welcome, get on the train, get on the tea cake train.
Molly Bell says, how do we keep 4 dozen fresh? Not my question, as I can eat that many in a day. Yeah, me too, Molly Bell. She says her mama made tea cakes and put some in her brown lunch bag. She says she's 78 years old. They were filling and good. E.C. Courtney says, I used to eat them by the bag full. This is our YouTube chat room, Ms. Robinson.
Yes.
And B. Bell of Bad Dog Bully says, excuse my ignorance, but is a tea cake similar to a coffee cake? And I must say, no.
No, it's a cookie. It's not. It's a cookie. The Europeans, after it was in Eddington, I think, South Carolina, at the Boston Tea Party. Supposedly, the women participated by having a tea party without tea, and they supposedly made tea cakes, which is really, the European tea cake is more like a cupcake, whereas the tea cake that we make has more of a cookie consistency. Now, there are different types of tea cakes. You go to Alabama, Miss Susan may make them one way. You go to Texas, Miss Corrine may make them another way. So they're almost as varied as we are in everything, but nonetheless, the concept is the same.
Yeah. And Deborah Murray points out, or Detra probably. Unfortunately, Juneteenth is not a holiday for state workers. I did not know that. How can it not be a holiday for state workers if it's a federal holiday? She says, although it's a federal holiday, Gavin Newsom did not recognize it.
Yes.
And Courtney says, we know a monkey wrench when we see one. That is very interesting, isn't it? The same governor who doesn't want to sign reparations. Yeah. I'm just saying. Mrs. Robinson is being honored today, and you're invited. We'll let you know about how you can be down. It's a Juneteenth celebration. That's next. And you're welcome to call 800-920-1580. We are unapologetically Juneteenth. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
May 6th was World Asthma Day, and it's a critical time to raise awareness about your asthma. Did you know that Black Americans are approximately 5 times more likely than white Americans to visit the emergency department due to their asthma? Managing your asthma is possible with regular checkups, avoiding known triggers, using prescribed medications correctly, and creating an asthma action plan with your healthcare professional. An action plan is a personalized plan you create with your doctor that shows you what to do and what medications to take to help control your asthma when you're having a hard time breathing or having an asthma attack. Stay aware. Have a plan because your health matters. For more tips and resources on managing your asthma, visit luma-edu.com. luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
Are you ready to play? Then jump into the LA 84 Foundation's free Playday Block Party, a community celebration for all ages, including live music, dancing, LA's pro sports teams, great local food trucks, plus special giveaways for you to take home. Enjoy an exciting, fun-filled day for the entire family. Join on Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 2141 West Adams Boulevard. To register, go to la84.org. We'll see you Saturday, June 28th at LA 84 Foundation's free Playday Block Party.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
See website for details. Bills Happen is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Hey, bills happen. So when you need extra cash fast, go to billshappen.com. Have you been turned down? Are your credit cards maxed out? Do you have bad credit? Go to billshappen.com. All you need is a job and a checking account. You can find a lender and get up to $5,000 cash as early as tomorrow at billshappen.com. Billshappen.com is the smart way to get a personal lender now. So if you need extra money for car repairs, medical bills, family emergencies, whatever you need cash for, go to billshappen.com and you can get the money you need as soon as the next day, up to $5,000. At billshappen.com, our process is safe, secure, and all online. No one to deal with in person. And Bills Happen does not charge you any fees to use our service. It's easy. When you need a lender, just remember, when bills happen, go to billshappen.com. Billshappen.com for the cash you need now. Billshappen.com.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Okay, we're talking with Ms. Etha Robinson, Mrs. Robinson's Tea Cakes. The Tea Cake Commission, named by Dr. Ronald Myers, was a pioneer in the recognition of June 19th and its important place in American history. You're being honored today in honor of Juneteenth, but it's happening today, right?
Yes, in honor of Juneteenth, but also for my involvement in the community. I've been in the community for decades, so I've done things in the community, hopefully to elevate our life and create knowledge. Because when I taught school, I taught history. So if I was teaching science, I always mentioned George Washington Carver, Granville P. Woods, Lockett, all those, Charles Drew. So we have the opportunity to integrate what we do into Black history, into the things that we do in the space that they took place. So yes, I think that the organization who's sponsoring this celebration is Hope, Hyde Park organization of development. Hope with the Asada, she's the president of Mojo Hope organization, and then also our sponsors who help the U.S. Bank and Biata, who was also very influential in donating some tea cakes for the celebration.
Hyde Park organization partnership for empowerment.
Empowerment, yes, I could.
And
so they're actually the ones who's kind of sponsoring the celebration.
So that's today, along with the VR to Market and the U.S. Bank.
Yes.
It's today.
Yes,
it's noon to 2 p.m. There's going to be speeches, festivities, and wait for it, tea cakes.
Yes, we're going to have some. Biata donated some tea cakes, so we're going to have some free tea cakes for people to get a chance to sample them.
So taste that Juneteenth flavor.
That's right.
Before you head over to see Tavis Smiley broadcasting in C-SPAN. It's not too late, by the way. It's our 4th anniversary is tomorrow. The festivities start tonight. Tavis Smiley will be broadcasting on C-SPAN. If you're anywhere in the world, you can see him. If you want to go in person, go to KBLA.com, KBLA1580.com, and you can register. It's free. You can register for any of our events or all of our events. They are all free, but you got to have a seat saved for you. We got to know you're coming, so go to KBLA1580.com. And by the way, if you're coming to the barbecue tomorrow, we need you to bring a gift card, either a grocery store or a restaurant chain. We're still supporting the people of Altadena who have been displaced by the fire. So whatever you can do, we appreciate you. We thank you. And absolutely, we want to celebrate you. Kicking off tonight, actually late afternoon, with Tavis Smiley, of course, and culminating with my event on Saturday, the State of Black Women in LA, 2 panel discussions, a lunch, and some fellowships. So we got a lot of good stuff happening, not the least of which is being blessed with the Tea Cake Commissioner. And let's see, you say a real live cotton picker. What do you mean by that?
That
Mrs.
means
Robinson?
that I actually, folks say, with these hands, I actually pull cotton out of a cotton bowl. I pick cotton long before the automated cotton picker. Black slaves, enslaved people, and then other people doing sharecropping. We pick cotton, and that was the basis for this country's wealth is from cotton. Cotton was king. So there would not have been any industry in the northern states here. There had not been agriculture and cotton in the southern states. So that was very important when we talk about the war. It wasn't so much about letting the slaves free. It was who was going to pick the cotton. Somebody had to pick the cotton. So I was one of the persons who actually picked cotton. When I started, when I was, I guess, maybe 8 or 9 years old.
Wow, as a little kid.
Oh, during the time of enslavement, youngsters younger than me picked cotton. 7, 6-year-olds, as long as they were able to stand up and put a sack or a bucket or a basket in front of them, they picked cotton because you had to get the crop in.
And you remember it vividly.
Well, I remember vividly because Mississippi Delta, when you think of a delta, you think of farming, rich, fertile soil. So those are things, Mississippi Delta, Sacramento Delta, the Nile Delta. Anywhere you have a delta.
She went to the Nile.
You have, well, it's a rich, that's why Egypt was so, the Nile Delta was, seat of agriculture.
Right. Well, yeah, kind of, arguably the seat of civilization or humankind. Tell me about your HBCU. You went from picking cotton to graduating from an HBCU.
Folks say I sure did. I went to a school in, it was actually then it was Tougaloo. Now I think it's been incorporated into Jackson, but it's a small private school, college, liberal arts college. So I went there. I got a scholarship, and I went there for 4 years. The best 4 years of my life. It was yes, formed by I think it was the congregational churches. Most of our churches, many of our HBCUs, people may not know, they were started by white churches for their mulatto children. They could not go to the all-white school. So most of our many of our HBCUs,
I didn't know that. That's
they
wild.
were started there. Look at the religious attachment.
Because when I went to the slave dungeons in Ghana, they had the little school off to the side that they made for the so-called mulatto children that were the children of the enslaved people waiting to go on ships that were raped by those enslavers. Yeah. And they had that's crazy. Okay, that's a whole nother show for another day, Ms. Robinson. You were named as the TK Commissioner by Dr. Ronald Myers, and you wanted to pay tribute a little bit to him because he was one of the people that worked to make Juneteenth a holiday.
Yes, he was. If you want to say who was the daddy of Juneteenth, I would consider him being the father of Juneteenth. I met Dr. Myers, I guess back in the early 90s, and he was working, at that time he was working with the catfish farmers because, and I'm just throwing this in, when we stopped growing cotton in the South, they bought that land or took the land from many of the blacks and started growing catfish. Belzona is the catfish capital of the world. They started doing catfish farming. So that was after the cotton was gone. But anyway, Dr. Myers worked for years and years, with the Juneteenth. He was one of the few doctors who stayed in the South. Most doctors, they came to the city. You got your medical degree, you came to the city. But he was a truly, I guess you would call it a doctor that visited physicians who visited the homes and delivered babies. He and his wife Sylvia, they had clinics there because initially blacks couldn't go to the white hospitals, so we had to have our own hospitals, and so he ran clinics. So one of the things that he did, he stayed in the Delta. He was also a renowned musician, just an excellent jazz musician. He was honored by Linda Morgan some time ago as a jazz one of the living jazz legacies. He's passed now, but at that time she did honor him some time ago. But yeah, Dr. Ronald Myers, he was just such a fabulous person. I mean, when you think about medical doctors, how many doctors now visit your home? You can call him, and oftentimes he didn't get paid with money. He may have gotten some chickens or some eggs or some cans, something. Because a lot of times the people in the Delta, Mississippi Delta, is one of the poorest areas in this nation.
Well, Mrs. Etha Robinson, it's really it's been great talking with you, and I think when Joe Biden declared Juneteenth a national holiday, many of us scoffed at it. It's like, okay, that's nice, but we didn't ask for it. We want reparations. We want voting rights. We want real meaningful police reform. But in this moment of history, it seems so important to have Juneteenth as history is being erased, as it being attempted to be erased, because as you said, you can't stop people from talking to each other. You can stop people from teaching it in schools. It feels important. It feels like a gift, and I certainly appreciate you putting it in perspective that this is something we actually did fight for, that people like Dr. Myers and many others, scholars and elected officials and ordinary people fought to make Juneteenth a holiday. And so we may end up having to fight to keep it. Certainly appreciate your perspective, and I'm looking forward to tasting the tea cakes. If you want to support Ms. Etha Robinson and her quest to get her own commercial kitchen, you can go to Mrs. Robinson's teacakes.com, Mrs. Robinson's teacakes.com, or you can stop by the celebration today.
And not my kitchen, the kitchen for, I'm 83 years old. So we know that whatever I'm doing, I'm not really doing it for me. I think it's very important that we want to get a kitchen where we can train all of our young people how to work in the food department. Because next to rent, the next highest expenditure is food. When you look at a person's budget, at a family's budget, next to paying the mortgage, the next highest expenditure is going to be food.
No doubt, especially these days. Well, Mrs. Robinson, thank you for coming by and hanging out with me on Juneteenth Eve. Deetra says Newsom did recognize Juneteenth as a state holiday, just not a day off. Well, we're going to be partying regardless, and I hope you'll party with us. Tavis Smiley's up next. He's got an incredible show lined up for you today. That's the usual thing around here. And, of course, he'll be working all day and all night because he's on C-SPAN with us tonight. Don't forget to tap in with us on social media. We're at KBLA1580.com. You want to sign up for the events, but we're at KBLA 1580 on all social media. Please like, follow, and subscribe. I'm at diprimaradio, DIPRIMA, and then radio on all platforms. Please talk back to me. I talk back to you as well. Like my mama, the great Diane DiPrima, used to say, history is now, and we are making it together until tomorrow, or should I say tonight. One love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. We're following a developing story this morning. The White House is warning Americans not to travel to Israel, Iraq, or Iran. This as President Trump mulls over whether the U.S. will do airstrikes, what some see as officially entering into the Middle East war. NBC News was with the president yesterday.
They should have done the deal. I told them, do the deal.
Meanwhile, President Trump posted to social media around noon Tuesday, "We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran," which NBC News says is questionable since the U.S. does not have any aircraft involved in the airstrikes going back and forth between Iran and Israel right now. And not everyone thinks this is a good idea. There are congressional members on both sides of the aisle that are trying to limit America's involvement in the conflict. Republican Congressman Thomas Massie has introduced legislation arguing this is not our war. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Is this the tether? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron James is talking like he's coming back with the Lakers to play his